Hello, Internet, and welcome back to the Story Nook. Today's story is from ProRevenge. Go ahead and get your tea, your coffee, your hot cocoa, whatever it is you want to drink today, and let's go ahead and continue on with some stories. Manager targeted me because of my family priorities. It cost her job. Posted by user T. Cody. Congestion. I have worked at a certain home improvement store for close to a decade now. About 8 years, roughly. The first 7 was in North Carolina. Before I moved up further north to be with my best friend and her husband, who I learned was pregnant with my first godchild. As such, I transferred up to a store in the area and put my nose to the grindstone. I worked garden before and did that for some months, before I started to move from department to department as the store was low on staff. However, this was not full-time. My old HR had dropped the ball and this store believed I wanted part-time. Having already moved, I grabbed a part-time overnight job at a gym that makes ends meet. And continued to work, all the while asking repeatedly for full-time at the main job, and never getting a definite word back or change. Several months into this, my goddaughter was born. As I lived with my friends during this time, and during the time of COVID, the plague, I spent quite a lot of time helping to raise her, and we became close. I would take time off that I was allotted to help look after her, and there was a little problem. Half a year into this change, and I had a good name for myself. I did not have a good deal of friends per se, but I was respected for my work ethic and willingness to help out anyone in any department that asked me. Enter a new assistant manager. The assistant manager was abrasive to staff and used to getting her way. The first I heard of her was when she outright fired a girl working the front desk because of a Playboy tag on her jacket. I myself and several other employees organized a walkout in protest of this and succeeded in getting the store manager to reverse the decision made by the assistant manager. This was not our first walkout, having done this in the past with another assistant manager, the current predecessor, who made sexist comments about a cashier. That is a very good way to, exercise your rights. Good on y'all for organizing a walkout. Y'all are amazing for that. Soon after this, I was given a full-time by the ops manager, working in receiving for a cantankerous supervisor. We often did not get along, especially as my godchild got older, and I took on babysitting duties while her parents worked and slept. It was not something I minded, as I adored the child. I often talked about her with my coworkers and loved to show pictures and stories. However, this was not something shared by my higher-ups. My supervisor was upset that I could not work overtime to help him, as we were the only 2 in receiving for the store, because of either my second job or babysitting. And soon after the second walkout, I was made aware of a rumor circulating around the store that the child was in fact my own daughter. I lost my line. There it is. That I had fathered outside of my friend's husband's knowledge. The source of the rumor was unknown, but my assistant manager had made disparaging remarks to me in the past about men taking care of children, so I had my theories. See, that's something that's just a society issue. If the kid isn't biologically yours or your physical child, people in companies just well, why do you need to be there? They have parents, which is very annoying as someone who often has to go and run errands for my dad or my sister's kids, or God forbid my own pet that I love and take care for, and then they get mad at you because you can't work certain hours, even though you made it well known, hey, I can't work these hours. They still want to get fussy and blame you for it, even though them not planning and scheduling enough people for those hours that they want you to work that you can't work is a failure on their part. And something about, like, men not caring for children, that is such BS. Like, women aren't, like, any person can be, like, a caring, loving figure to a child. It does not just constitute men. Like, it doesn't just constitute women. Men can be good caretakers. Men can be all of that a mother can be. So, it seems like it's changing now in the environment, but it's still sticking around, and it's so stupid. But yeah, like, women aren't the only one who just like kids. Guys can like kids too. Like, we love caring for them, yada yada. Personally, I'm not a kid person. I am a cat person. But that is due to other issues of having children thrust upon me because I'm a girl and it should be expected of me to be able to babysit and watch the kids, which was always annoying. But yeah, men can be a caretaker. They can be babysitters. Like, it's so stupid. Found family is a thing. But let's continue. My holiday plans, asked off in advance as soon as our electronic system allowed, were cancelled without explanation, both Thanksgiving and Christmas. I had never missed a major holiday since I moved north, and I had asked the same days off the year prior, and had gotten them off before the assistant manager arrived. Excuse me, that was a burp. Strike one. And soon after this, my supervisor, whom I worked closely with every day, had a positive plague test. Trying to avoid saying the plague's name to get around the YouTube guidelines of not getting strike, forcing me, per company rules, to self-isolate until I could get a positive or negative test myself. During this week, as it took a full week to find a place with enough room to give tests, thanks to Omicron, that sounds like a transformer, I was harassed repeatedly by a text and phone call by both management and my supervisor to track down an at-home test and get back to work ASAP. All the while, I had to inform everyone I was in contact with, including my friends, family, and roommates, that I had been exposed, risking their own holiday trips and plans. Strike two. Thankfully, my test was negative. After a week after this, the Northeast gets slammed by a snow and ice storm. I drive a four-wheeled vehicle and so made it in. But near the end of my shift, I was made aware that my friend's husband had been injured and stranded in a car accident on the ice, and so I left to get them home, and their car to a service station. To add to it all, they have lost power in their home with an infant, leaving me with the only person they could turn to with a vehicle and power. I will admit, I had few sick hours left, but informed work that I would be out on a family emergency. For that week, I called out each day with ongoing family emergency, with snow and ice still coating the streets and power still down throughout the city. Why the hell was the store even open? If, like, most of the city, the power's out, like, that's so stupid to even have the store open at all. Like, no one's going to risk venturing out into that shit, and if they are, they probably aren't sane. And every day, I was hounded by calls from management demanding I return to work regardless. This wouldn't have not only risked my own safety, but would have stranded my family at my apartment with no way to get supplies or get home once the power returned. Strike three. I was done. Early in the morning that following Sunday, I walked into work and placed my resignation letter on HR's desk. This is important later. I had tendered it to be immediate, as I live in an at-will state. Was it petty? Yes. I will freely admit that. I had given 8 years of my life to this company and asked very little in return. As I was leaving, I crossed paths with my supervisor, who asked angrily if I was finally coming back to work. I informed him of my decision to leave, ignoring his provocations, and left to go home and sleep. Several hours later, I received the gift that would ignite my semi-accidental revenge. A single text from my assistant manager. We will see how long you can take care of your love child without us. That is like such a bitch-ass fucking move. Like, OP quit an assistant manager is such a bitch. To be like, you'll come crawling back to us. Like, that's so annoying. Like, I just broke and I quit my job at the arcade. And, like, they were constantly, every time I would just be around or any of them saw me, they would ask me to come back to work. Like, they desperately needed me. Everyone, like, the security guards there were just like, it was such a dark day when you left. We weren't sure how anything was going to function. And I'm just like, and now the arcade's closed. Like, less than a few years later. So I'm just like, your management wasn't that great, now was it? To keep everything rolling. But to just send a text from someone who left with some petty shit like that, bitch, the fuck. Well, seems I found my probable source. My friends had been made aware of this rumor from the start. I did not hide anything from them, and did not want any kind of rumor, however unlikely, to reach them from anyone but me. They are my closest friends and compatriots, and have given me the greatest gift in the form of my godchild, whom they insist I call my niece, as I am family. Love child feels like a slur against her, and I am not cool with that, and neither are they. La la la. Work on my speech, child. However, they informed me of the monumental screw-up my now former assistant manager had made. It was time for corporate HR to be made aware, and so I began to compile my evidence. The text from my supervisor, the call records, and the messages left, and this holy grail of a text message. If I was going to leave, I was at the very least going to give some blowback on the team that had been so willing to target me. As you should. Places with, like, hostile work environments like this fucking suck. What happened after a second hand from friends I had still at the store, and so I cannot entirely verify all of it, but the assistant manager played herself. The following day, a meeting of management and supervisors was convened, where the assistant manager made it known that I had been fired, not self-terminated, for job abandonment and immorality. And unless I am grossly misinformed about the nature of American retail work, immorality is not a viral event. To my supervisor's credit, he defended me to the assistant manager and was fired on the spot. The store's HR rep, having earlier gotten my printed termination letter on his desk, made it known that I had indeed not been fired but left on my own. And the assistant manager attempted to fire him as well, in front of the staff, and from there it spiraled. According to my source, the entire departments began to walk out or outright quit, having had their own problems with the assistant manager. Appliances. Quit to a man. Garden. Left with their own manager to work at a competitor's, as he had been working on this well before my saga began. Front desk. Walked out in protest as it came out that the assistant manager had threatened and blackmailed several Muslim part-timers to not wear their headscarves if they wanted hours, which I'm pretty sure could get her in trouble with the labor board, as that is a discrimination on religious rights. Lumber. Receiving's main partner. Quit. Pro desk. Joined the front desk protest as one of their members, a Sikh man, had also been threatened. Cashiers. Both head cashiers quit, and other trained cashiers walked out with the desk. Ops manager. Had informed the district manager and quit outright before he arrived, walking out with the HR rep and my old supervisor. My source's last report of the assistant manager is seeing her sprinting to her car after having heard that the district staff was inbound and the store manager was forced to shut the store down for the next 2 days. Last I've heard. I've been in contact with other injured parties, and we're compiling all the evidence we've collected as several of the families are hiring lawyers. I suspect the company will attempt to keep this quiet. I just never suspected that anything like this would happen. I have a full-time position at the gym upcoming, and I've been enjoying the extra sleep and time I get with my family. I'm never working 56 to 64 hours a week ever again, and I will never darken the doorsteps of that store again. I hope my assistant manager enjoyed the temporary rush of power. I suspect she won't get it ever again, at least not in manager positions. TLDR, an assistant manager got a power trip and harassed myself and several other employees, leading to her ultimate downfall and the biggest mass quitting I've ever been a part of. Which, bravo, your manager had that shit fucking coming. Let's just start there. Like, they had that shit coming. They had it coming. They had it coming. Because, like, they can't just sit there and be all shocked Pikachu face when they hire them. Like, the only way that assistant manager is going to be able to get into such a position, again, is if they, one, fake the credentials and put, like, the phone number as, like, a friend of theirs that's willing to lie for them. Or put the company and, like, put, like, a friend's number as, like, their upper to lie for them. That can be the only thing, but who knows? I don't even know if people, like, check references on resumes anymore. If so, what they're allowed legally to say. But people talk to each other, their friends, their circles, their work circles, and hopefully they will not be in upper management or any management positions. And hopefully they got a fucking attitude check, because they damn well deserved it. But thank you all for joining me on this story of ProRevenge. I hope you're all doing well. Remember to stay hydrated. Have an awesome day. All that good stuff. Bye-bye.